Welcome to MissouriNet.com. I'm Bill Pollock. The Missouri Tigers had a bye week, and at least from my standpoint, thank goodness, because we've got the Royals, we've got the Cardinals, Chiefs, Rams yesterday, lots of stuff going on, but a very busy college weekend and a lot of upsets. And now we turn our attention, at least from a Mizzou standpoint, to the Georgia Bulldogs. And we bring along Mark Weiser from the Athens Banner-Herald. Mark, welcome, and thank you for your time. First off, big picture SEC stuff. Crazy with all the upsets. Right now, you've got Auburn, Mississippi State, Ole Miss, 2, 3, 4 in the AP poll. Then Alabama dropped at seventh. With all this parity in the SEC this season, in the long run, does it hurt the conference's chances of maybe landing two teams in the Final Four playoff?
I don't think so. I mean, especially with how loaded the SEC West is, and the Mississippi schools just rising up, and I guess they're tied for third in the AP poll. I don't think there's any detriment. I think you can have two teams in that Final Four. You have teams like Alabama, with a loss already. Texas A&M obviously got upset as well. I think we'll see how it shakes out at the end. The interesting thing to me is going to be what's going to happen in the SEC East in terms of will you have a three-loss team going to Atlanta or not.
And that's exactly where I want to lead to next. Can we scratch out South Carolina out of this SEC race? And then also, we saw what Kentucky did to the Gamecocks. We saw what they almost did to Florida. Tennessee gave you guys a run for your money. But is this just a three-team race now between Georgia, Missouri, and say, Florida?
I'm not sure who that third team. Clearly, Georgia and Missouri are, probably the favorites now. But I'm not sure if Kentucky's not a more dangerous team now than Florida. I think South Carolina. I haven't broken down the permutations for a tiebreaker, but clearly they're going to need Missouri to stumble three times, Georgia to stumble twice more. They have the head-to-head tiebreaker with South Carolina. South Carolina has it over Georgia. So I'm not sure what to make of the division after Georgia and Missouri. And I think from week to week we'll have different opinions on maybe who the third or fourth best teams are.
We're chatting with Mark Weiser of the Athens Banner-Herald. A win by Missouri certainly puts them in the driver's seat, and if my math is right, it's basically like a three-game edge over Georgia, because that would be two losses for Georgia, and then the head-to-head. How does Coach Mark Richt and his coaching staff handle these type of games when there's a lot on the line, and is that something that's going to be talked a lot about in Athens this week?
Yeah, I think Georgia's always kind of maybe every other year, every third year, kind of a national title contender. They like to think that they are every year. They should be, among the top 10 programs nationally, probably. But getting to Atlanta is always the first and foremost thing on Mark Richt's mind. That's kind of what he talks about publicly, at least. And a top 25 matchup and a chance to hold. Keep the East in their own hands, in their own destiny is kind of. They were so happy to see South Carolina lose to Missouri, and then now Georgia can really be in the driver's seat if they can beat Missouri. I think they're going to be very motivated for this game on Saturday, and it'll just be the next step for them. I mean, they're going to still have several SEC East games coming up, and then a tough game against Arkansas in the West. At least it looks a lot tougher than it did at the beginning of the season, and Auburn will come in November as well.
Mark, I want to take a second here and do a screen share of your website, which is dogbitesonline.com. And at the front there, we see Richt says Georgia might continue using the two-quarterback system going forward. Can you just briefly talk a little bit about that and what that situation is all about?
Sure. Hudson Mason has waited for this season to be Georgia's starting quarterback. He looked at possibly transferring when Aaron Murray was in front of him. Murray, the four-year starter, SEC career passing touchdown leader, career yardage leader as well. He stuck around for this season, and while Georgia's about where people might have expected, with the only loss, a 3-point loss on the road to South Carolina, it's been pretty much the Todd Gurley show on offense. And Georgia's passing game has not been what it has been in recent years. Hudson Mason hasn't passed for more than 190 some yards in any game this year. So this past game, Bryce Ramsey, a talented redshirt freshman, was brought in for the third series of the game in the first quarter, and drove Georgia down for a touchdown. It was mostly Todd Gurley again, but Mark Richt says, this is going to probably be the same thing going forward. So I would expect to see Bryce Ramsey out there in the Missouri game sometime in the first half. It's not written in stone, but Bryce Ramsey's probably going to be Georgia's starting quarterback next season, and there's a chance he could pass Hudson Mason this season. We'll have to wait and see.
Very interesting. All right, we'll certainly keep our eye on that. And then, Mark, finally, one question, and we'll let you go. A final question. What will we see from the Bulldogs defensively? Where are they strong? What are they good at? And what are some matchups that maybe Mizzou fans can look for this weekend?
Their strength is definitely in their front seven. The secondary continues to be a work in progress. It was the weak point last year, if you might remember, the Auburn game where the tip pass for touchdown, freakish type of Hail Mary at the end there. They had a bunch of players, no longer on the team that were with the team last winter. A couple starting safeties, Trey Matthews, Josh Harvey Clemens got dismissed. Shaq Wiggins transferred to Louisville. He was a starting cornerback, and they've had more attrition, losing 3 backup defensive backs in the last week, including a player, freshman, who was arrested Sunday on a shoplifting charge and quickly booted off the team. So the front seven is the strength. The linebacking core, Jordan Jenkins, Leonard Floyd, the inside linebackers, Marlo Herrera, Ramik Wilson, are among the best in the country, and they're going to really get after Matty Mock. I would expect Saturday, and if they can, fluster him, they could, lessen the pressure on the back end where Georgia's vulnerable.
Boy, that's a great matchup then, because teams have been able to put pressure on him. They may shut down the running game, and we've got some inexperienced wide receivers, some inexperienced secondary. So perhaps if Mock can get the ball off, maybe Mizzou can have success, but that'll be a big if and something that we'll certainly have to watch for. And then I'm also looking forward to see how Mizzou's D-line does against Georgia in trying to stop Todd Gurley, because nobody's had any success at that.
Yeah, that's quite a task. We'll see. If they can hold him to 150 yards, that'll probably be a pretty good day.
Mark, I appreciate your time. Mark Weiser from the Athens Banner Herald and dogbitesonline.com, as we just showed you. We'll link that with this story. You'll be here, right, in Columbia?
I will be there. Looking forward to the trip.
All right, and I'm going to look forward to finding you and shaking your hand finally after a couple of years doing these.
All right, good. I'm looking forward to seeing you.
All right, thanks a lot, Mark. Good stuff as always, and thanks for watching us at MissouriNet.com.